But I had the pleasure of meeting Mr. Damien when he was locked up. I had went in a couple times to the prison, and he was on his game then. And so, I asked him to come speak. A lot of you people in here already know him. He speak real eloquent, real powerful. He's formed his own relationships, became a supervisor at a job in a short time out. So I'm going to give him a chance to come up and tell his story. And then after that, we're going to have LaTanya and Ken come up and tell you a little bit more about the laws that Mr. Walker talked about, and then we'll have time for questions and answers after that.
Thank you. As always, it's a pleasure to gather in this space and share this space with you. Before I go on, though, I really want to give a heartfelt thanks just to be invited here. I also want to give a thanks to some of the people I see here. Mr. Walker served as my mentor. Matter of fact, I'm going to get away from the misters. That formality stuff, especially with my incarceration background. James has been a mentor. And Deacon Davis, working in Office of Reentry. And Adam Kessler, joining us all the way from Grafton. Say thank you. And so, this is an interesting time for me because I'm in a state of transition. The job he was talking about was with the Ohio Organizing Campaign. And before I want to go on that, I want to step back for a minute just to kind of show you how I was able to arrive at that opportunity and seize that opportunity. When I first met Mike, he come into the prison during the reentry fair. At the time, I was president of the NAACP in Grafton. I was a charter president of that branch. Proud to say that. Saw a need for organization in there that we could really do some education through, offer some educational workshops and reentry-focused programs. And at the time, the NAACP in its mission statement, its prison project mission statement really fitted that. And having been a part of that initial effort to start an NAACP in Richland, I saw a ripe opportunity to be able to do that in Grafton, and we did that. And we put it under Ohio's Reentry Initiative at that time, which when restorative justice was a very big thing. And what that did was serve as a vehicle to bring the community in. It served as a vehicle to do different type of workshops that not only would engage the men in there, but allow them to network. Why was this so important? Networking. During my time of incarceration, I was what you call old law inmate. Old law inmates were sentenced prior to 1996. 1996, they created a truth in sentencing bill where everybody sentenced thereafter was basically sentenced with flat time. Even if they did had 15-year sentence, they knew when they were getting out. Whereas those who were sentenced prior to then had to see a parole board. And those of us that had to see a parole board, you would do whatever your minimum was that the trial court set, and then you would go up to the parole board and they would see if you were suitable for release. When they created that law, that truth in sentencing law, simultaneously the parole board created a new guideline that gave sentence enhancements. That's the short story. But what had happened is that a lot of guys under the purview of the parole board was doing a lot more time. So for gentlemen like me who had maximized on all the programming and educational opportunities in there, I was doing flop time or parole board time, as they say. And the programs were geared more toward the short-term offenders because they were the bulk. They were like 90%. The old law inmates was like about 6,000 at that time. And so the only avenues to add value and dignity for us while still doing time was to engage in these programs. And so I saw the NAACP as an opportunity to do that and to network, to build relationships in the community. So during one of those reentry fairs, that's when I met Mike. And he was coming in like a lot of others who was saying, upon your release, we will help you get interview skills. We will help you with a resume. We will connect you with resources to get closed. But my rationale at that time was like, what about those of us who still have 5 years left, who still have 4 years left? What about us? We're looking for opportunities to add value and dignity. We're looking for opportunities to be a part of programs where we can deepen our skill sets, where we could do something relevant in there and just feel necessary. and a part of something positive and keep growing. And it was through that type of questing that we started doing these programs. And to the credit of the administrators at Grafton, I wrote the proposals. They actually blessed it. And so I sought to build relationships with souls like Mike Jones, with people from Towards Employment, with people from Community Reentry that could come in and train what I call the institutional assets. Those old law gentlemen who demonstrated off the merit of their record, who demonstrated off their habits of action that have established their character, that they could command these type of programs. Come in and train us, so that in return, we can train our peers, so that in turn, we could just be a part of something positive in there instead of just sitting idle while watching those shorter term offenders having access to these programs. And us being told, well, you have to get on the waiting list. Right here, we have to deal with them, their priority. And that's what ended up happening. And through the gift of building these relationships, these were the very souls that spoke up for me at the parole board. And this is a very important process. Reentry is like an algebraic equation. What you do to one side of the equation, you must do to the other. One half of that equation is for the men and the women who are doing time to busy themselves in school, to busy themselves in programs, to hold themselves accountable for getting any and all nutrients they can out there, for taking that exterior journey, which is the programming, the academics and the like, and that interior journey, which is that soul search, to find meaning and purpose in your life, to reconcile with your Most High, whatever you call him or her, and to just build yourself anew inside out. But the other half is the community investment and involvement. This is where souls like you come into play. This is where souls like you push legislators, push local council people, local government to ensure access to opportunities when men or women are released. Because why? They're coming to a neighborhood near you. We're coming to a neighborhood near you. If we talk about community, lifting up community, then in Cleveland alone, you got between 4,000 and 6,000 men and women returning to this city every year, the biggest recipient in Ohio of returned citizens. It's in the interest, it's in the health and wellness and fitness of our communities to ensure that the least of these men and women have opportunities for employment, to become producers. Because if they don't have an opportunity, or we keep allowing barriers to block them, if we keep allowing their convictions to eclipse their other good qualities, because their conviction is not who they are, that's something they've done, then that's going to continue to sink our community, because we're in the same ship. And so this is, like, for me, this is my purpose. When I'm dealing with a lot of the younger men and women who have had contact with law enforcement or the criminal justice system, they don't respond well to lofty notions of purpose. When I say, what is your purpose? What is your highest vision for your life? They don't respond well to that. That's too lofty. But when I say, you're either busy living or you busy dying, which are you in the business in? You're either in the business of life or you in the business of death. Which business you in? They always raise their hand. I'm in the business of life. So if you were in the business of life, you are about the business that is you, and I'll have them name themselves. So when you're doing things and you're moving forward, people be like, hey, you're about your business. What is your mission statement for your life? And here's when we start getting to the gristle. Here's when light bulbs and lamps start coming on, because they respond well to business jargon. Because we all like to pride ourselves that we are business folks. And this is what it's about, purpose. Because if I can get a young soul or an adult to revisit what is your mission statement in your life, this is where you set your compass from. And that light bulb come on. The beautiful thing is that once you get your mission statement tight, therein is your purpose. You find your purpose. And so the new art and the new challenge is processes. So what I mean by processes, coming home, unless I've shared that, hey, I've been incarcerated. I was incarcerated for 18 and a half years for murder. So it took me 18 and a half years to demonstrate my redeemability. And some of the people look at me like, you've been in jail 18 and a half years? You murdered somebody? It's like, it's hard for them to reconcile who I am now with what I did in my 18-year-old me until I tell them. And so part of why I do that, and I go to Cleveland State, so against a lot of advice of people there that have done time, they be like, why am I always telling my professors? Why am I always sharing it? For me, I found my purpose. I'm an advocate. That's why I received my second chance. I'm an advocate. And furthermore, I am an ambassador. Whether you like it or not, whether I like it or not, whether my peers who have had this incarceration experience like it or not, they are ambassadors. Because the fact is, if you get out and do something stupid, Ed Gallick is going to be there, and he's going to be asked, why was this guy out of prison? And I can tell you empirically that doors close behind that. I can tell you with absolute certainty, when that guy Yak got out of Grafton and did those heinous things to those kids, people did not get a parole in Grafton Correctional Institution for a couple of years. I can tell you that when Soel got out of Grafton and did those heinous things to those women, there was no paroles in Grafton Correctional Institution. When that news came on and they flashing that, the guys, there was a dark cloud over Grafton, and just guys knew. Those who were going up to the parole were like, and they're coming back 10 years, 5 years, 10 years. And so those humble success stories that don't play to the reptilian portion of the brain, there's no real sensationalization in it. Those go unsung and unheard of. But there's a lot of them. And it's our job to start lifting them up. And the reason I share this is because, again, I am an ambassador. And if I'm able to change a few people's heart and mind about the potential of a returned citizen, then I am doing my job, I am living my purpose, and doors are being cracked for the authentic souls coming behind me.